Hello guys, Voltolon here, and welcome to a discussion on the future of Rush Duels. As of January of next year, 2023, we'll be getting two major updates that will have a huge impact on the format. The first being a change in the legend rule set, where instead of just only being able to run one legend in your deck, you can run a total of three, which is inclusive of one monster, one spell, and one trap legend. This is definitely a huge buff to a lot of decks, but the main attraction that I want to talk about today is the new ban list. This is the first ever ban list in the history of Rush Duels, and it is, as a result, extremely impactful and very interesting. Now, it's not technically a ban list. The semantics wise, we didn't get any banned cards. We only have some limits, and what a limit is, for people who don't know, is that a card can only be played at one copy. Take for instance this graphic in front of you. You can see all the cards that have been affected in front of you here, and one of the cards here is the Thunderbolt Lightning Fire Deity. This is a really huge part of the Thunderbolt Melody deck, and as such it is being hit here. As a result, you can only play one copy of Thunderbolt as opposed to the three that you normally would be able to, which hurts the consistency of finding cards such as these. Now, to go in depth over these cards that he hit, Thunderbolt was again hit because of the Thunderbolt Melody deck. How the deck works is that you have this combo between Thunderbolt and Can Melody, where you result in a combo that basically allows you to remove all of your opponent's set cards and still have some ways to OTK your opponent through that. So either just getting rid of their back row or just getting rid of monsters as well. If you have like a way of flipping your opponent's monsters face down, you can continue to extend and continue to get rid of more and more of your monsters, or just use Gem Set for the more direct form of removal. And you have a bunch of toolbox options as well, because Thunderbolt can fetch any level 7, not just Melody, so you can go for something like Dragius. If you need to clear an additional monster, go for Shock Dragon. If you need to debuff something, go for something like a Lurker. If you need, I guess, burn damage, or just a host of other options available to you depending on what you want to put in the deck. But mostly just those main options are the ones that people generally choose in this kind of deck. Now, this is a strong deck last format. This is the kind of hit that would have made people very happy if this was addressed maybe like 3 products ago. Probably like one product ago would have been nice to see this get hit, but right now the deck is currently quite fragile. There are a lot of pieces of interaction that can hurt the deck, and as such it is a combo deck that has a bunch of what is effectively counter spells aimed at their head, which means that the deck can't really breathe that well, and as such it's not a viable choice in the current format. Now, it being hit right now as a result is a weird choice, and seems like a hit that came about because they saw the result of the previous tournament results. Which, to be fair, the Galaxy Cup results were in the top 4. There was 3 Thunderbolt and 1 Mid-Range Dragon, so it would make sense to hit Thunderbolt here based on just these results. But looking at the current results for the current format, you can see that Executee is the current most popular deck, and it should be the one that should be addressed. However, knowing Konami and how they address decks in the mainline game, we know that they probably won't be hitting something so close to their release date, and as such was already quite unlikely for them to hit Executee, but this is the dream hit for most of us that are playing competitively here, because this is the most dominant deck at the current moment. So it is a shame that we won't get to see this get nerfed, and we'll have to play through a format with this in mind. But we played through several formats with Thunderbolt in mind already, so I think we can manage with that, honestly. For the casual side, however, I think that hitting Thunderbolt is really good. Thunderbolt is an inherently unfair deck. Being able to remove all of your opponent's set cards is very strong, obviously, and definitely would be extremely unfair to maybe a newer player, or maybe a player that doesn't play as competitively as other people, who just want to have fun playing the game and may not have fun when your opponent just OTKs you out of nowhere. So I think this is a fair hit to address those concerns for the casual players. And I think in that mindset, I think that this is a fair hit. For a personal point of view, I wish that they didn't hit it as hard. I personally am a huge fan of Thunderbolt, not exactly the deck in its iteration right now, But the card itself, I personally have a huge attachment to this card, and it is a shame that because of limiting it to one copy, it means that there is not a really good way of using the card in a new strategy that doesn't involve Melody anymore. The best strategy and way to use Thunderbolt is still using Melody, just that it is so inconsistent that you will never see it played competitively ever again. Being played at one copy, even if you have up to 3 copies of Sensor Dark Duel for a total of technically 4 Thunderbolts, means that your consistency gets shot way down, and as such, that on top of the fragility of the deck because of the number of options you have against it makes this deck completely unreliable and not worth playing at all. But from a competitive point of view, still kind of weird that they hit it right now instead of maybe like a month ago. Let's take a look at this next one. This is the next main. No. This might read like an innocuous card. It is a level 5 that has the ability to send itself to the graveyard and a level 7 in your graveyard to the bottom of the deck to draw 2 cards. I guess admittedly that already sounds pretty good. Like you tribute it for 1, you sack it off, you put a level 7 bottom of the deck, draw 2 cards, and cycle to self and lets you dig through your deck. But it isn't a card that you see very often generically. Like, even when it was released, there weren't any decks that would really want it to run it, except maybe some maximum turbo deck. But right now, this card is pretty strong. There was some Wind Psychic builds that were running it, but the main reason that this card is being hit is Portal Loop. Portal Loop is a very strong combo deck that has the capability to take an extremely long combo turn involving Progress Porter and Necromate Nana alongside other draw cards, where once you've emptied your deck down to 0 cards, you can use the Progress Porter to shuffle a specific set of cards back into your deck, which includes around 2 Necromate Nanas to draw back into them, which can draw through your entire deck again, which will also draw through your deck to find a second Progress Porter that you shuffle back into the deck with the first Progress Porter. Then you can use that Progress Porter you just drew to repeat the cycle until you win. Because within that cycle, you can also put back some cards that do additional burn damage to eventually deal your opponent effect damage until they die. And that is this kind of like really slow, drawn out combo deck that is very annoying. To be honest, it is very annoying. I have played the deck, I have made a video on this, and I have also played a variant of the deck that doesn't necessarily win by effect damage, and instead tries to play by combat damage. Both are still equally annoying, both to play against, both to play. It is a really solitaire-based deck, and not really something that I would imagine a lot of people would enjoy playing over extended periods of time. I know there are definitely people who have at least tried it, and after a while they just like stop playing it because it's just like mind-numbing. It's also like extremely tedious, I guess. So yeah, extremely fair that people basically drop the deck after playing it for a bit. And even competitively, I think that the deck itself can be a bit fragile, especially with word working in the format. It means that your fireworks just is kind of vulnerable. Now, if you use fireworks to summon 2 Nalas, they can use word working to shuffle all your level 7s away and stop your combo in your tracks. And basically, your combo is very easily disrupted now, similar to Thunderbolt in that respect. However, it is also similar to Thunderbolt in that its combo is unfair and casual players would not have fun playing against it. The combo takes a very long amount of time if you're playing the Porter variant or just like comboing off of fireworks with the zombie variant. Or not really zombie variant, just like less Porter, less like Porter abusing shenanigans and more just like using fireworks to draw a bunch of cards. Like both of these variants are all drawing through your deck and doing a huge combo, which is not what casual players want to see. Now this is a problem that has been in the mainline Yu-Gi-Oh game already. Like there are several complaints about these like solitaire style like buildable kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh decks, like Dragon Link, which I mean honestly I haven't really been keeping up with current Yu-Gi-Oh, but I don't think it's good right now. But that's besides the point. I think the format has evolved to a point where it isn't just buildable or turbo, but that's besides the point. The point is people don't like those kind of decks, and that kind of deck is basically what is being represented here, except instead of building a board, you are actually king. It's kind of like Gumbler, I guess. And the people want to actually play the game and not have to sit through their opponent basically twiddling the thumbs and just drawing cards, doing all their stuff, and just like basically keeping all the fun to themselves, I guess. So it makes sense to not want to have this in the game, and also it just takes a long time. Even with time rules in tournament structures, it still like takes a long time and just like slows down the tournament, which is not ideal. So it's good to have these kinds of decks be curved down, and hitting Nana to 1 is a perfect way of doing that. That means that the exact polar loop has, instead of a 30% chance of failing with the other benefit of having a failsafe if you have a second Nana in your hand, to a 60% chance with no failsafe at all. So you are very likely to fail the loop, and you have to do it over and over and over again. So the loop is completely unreliable and still has the same weaknesses as the past polar loop decks because of woodworking, which is still in the format. So overall, not a very worthwhile deck anymore. And because of the Nana limit, you can only summon 1 Nana of Fireworks, and that means instead of Fireworks drawing you 4 cards, it only draws you up to 2 cards, which is definitely a downgrade for sure, and is a really good hit to these kinds of solitaire zombie style combo decks. Now the last hit is the one that I am the most mixed about. It is the Secret Order hit. Secret Order has been limited to 1, and honestly, I'm not sure how to feel about this. On a casual sense, Secret Order, it's a very powerful card. It is a really strong tempo swing. Cards like Grand Extreme was seen as the main selling point of Sea Serpents back in the day. And then they printed Secret Order, which is basically that without the Graveyard Hate, but even better in that you can summon from the graveyard and gain the additional attack, and it gains protection from traps, which is basically what the Graveyard Hate effect was trying to do in the format anyway. So yeah, Secret Order immediately took over the format when it was released in Gold Rush, and as such has been steadily in the format to varying degrees as of its release. Currently, I think it is at its lowest point, but not by much, because the current best deck Execute doesn't run it because its effects prevent your level 7s from attacking anyway, so Secret Order wouldn't do anything. But decks like Light Machine with the Tough Striker plus Secret Order still play it, and other decks like Gate Order, Pressure Order, and so on and so forth still run it because it is still a pretty good card. That being said, competitively, I think the card is completely fine. Yes, it is a good tempo swing, but also it never felt like the problem card, at least nowadays. There are other cards and synergies that felt more problematic, and I think those would have been the ones that I would have been happier with them hitting. Also, them hitting Secret Order means that it cuts off certain strategies from existing. Gate Order stops being reliable, which admittedly, like, you may ask why this is different from them not making Thunderbolt and Portal Loop good anymore, and the reason is Gate Order, or not even just Gate Order, like Pressure Order, I guess, and even the newly conceived Pyro Order. These are aggro decks, and while they definitely can be unfair to casual players as like they really easily out-tempo you and whatnot, I think that they are inherently more fun than Solitaire Turbo, which is what Portal Loop is. And another thing is they are also honestly a pretty strong contender against Execute. So hitting them now means that Execute is now potentially uncontested. I don't think that it is fully uncontested, but the Gate Order variants were a very strong deck to bring against Execute, and now that they are basically out of the format, Execute can breathe even more easily than it already is, which is concerning to say the least. But again, I don't think that it is completely set in stone that Execute will ruin the format. I think that there are ways to play around it. I think that there are decks that will show up that will be able to contest it still. And personally, I have a deck that I think that will do quite well against Execute. I just need more sample sizes and more testing to determine whether that's actually the case or I'm just coping on something. But that's besides the point. I think that the Secret Order hit, making it so that it basically disables some very fun decks, even outside the ones that are good, even like the Magical Sheepgoat Meek-chan deck. Not even just like the deck itself, I guess, but like Meek-chan needs you to find the level 7 Meek-chan over and over again, and Secret Order was your best way of doing so. Now, you technically had other ways of getting there with the Wave Chef and the Pack Rat, and I guess Silent Doom that has been released earlier this week, but those are obviously inferior options compared to Secret Order. Secret Order gave you that attack boost, which helped you deal with some of the board states that you might face, that you might see yourself in, especially Gate Order boards that don't get debuffed by Meet and Greet. So it's definitely like not great that these like more niche kind of funny strategies get hit as well. But that being said, from a casual standpoint, I understand the fact that this like super high tempo kind of strategies have made it so that these slow decks need more, like really need more to catch up. So it makes sense to hit them, especially since they were technically part of all the Thunderbolt decks. They weren't the major part of Thunderbolt, obviously. The main point was the Melody Loop, but they were in every single Thunderbolt deck in the top 4. So it, I guess, makes sense that they'd want to hit it. But I still would have preferred maybe hitting Secret Order less, like putting it to 2 maybe. Then again, Stone Excavation still exists, so I don't think it's maybe not that bad that Secret Order gets it to 1. We'll see in the future. I'm just kind of apprehensive right now and just kind of seeing exactly how the format will shape up next year when it'll actually go into effect. So what do I think about the future of the game? Honestly, despite all that I've said about being apprehensive or whatever, I think it'll be pretty good. The fact that they're doing these changes in the next year shows that they are looking to make some changes, and I'm very interested to see how the game evolves from this point. They also had announced that there will be a kind of like legend themed set with like legend cards and like support cards for those legend cards. They even recently revealed the 5-headed dragon as one of the cards in it, and that is a card that is currently impossible to make with the current card pool, and we haven't seen any of the other cards in that set yet, so there's probably going to be a new fusion spell that might be able to get it out in a feasible manner, so that'll be something interesting to see as well. And just in general, in the future, I'm just excited to see how the game grows, and just like excited to see what awaits for us in the next year. And now that we have gone through everything that I want to say, thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.